Alster. Got a super solo episode today. I apologize to everyone for not doing a podcast sooner. It's been honestly, this year in general has just been kind of shit. I won't even lie. Not even with the political stuff. Like, I was talking to my fiance about this. Like, I remember in 2021 was just like a dog shit year. I don't even remember all exactly what happened that year. It was just crap. It was just a bullshit year. I think my divorce maybe went through that year. No, that would have been the year before that. But anyways, 2021 was just a shit show. And I was not a Biden fan by any means. I wasn't really by any means a Trump fan, but like I remember that like just really upset me, the fact that he won. Because I was just like I just knew that meant things were gonna get worse, and they kind of did. So I guess I was right. I don't like the fact that I was right on that, but no, I mean, like it wasn't, not even politically. Like I feel like every year that there's an election, or it's like the incumbent, the year after the election, I guess, the incumbent, like not even only for me, but like friends, family, like everything just sucks. Like not even politically, just like on a personal level, or like with job, or like people die or whatever, like there's, and like that's been all that this year. And I remember last year we were like, it was New Year's Eve of 2021, and I'm sitting there in front of the TV. Molly and my fiance had put up like the Animal Crossing countdown or whatever. And that day they had announced that MF Doom had died. Even though he had died like 2 months earlier, I think on Halloween, which is crazy. But for some reason they just decided to, I don't know, give us the news at the very end of the year, which is like, okay, thanks for ruining everybody's New Year's. Respect to MF Doom and his family. But I remember just sitting in front of the TV and being like, God, this has just been a dog shit year. Fuck 2021. 2021 was awful, dude. And it got like a little bit better. Now 2025, it's shitty again. So, that's just kind of how it works. Whatever. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. Depending on how it goes, maybe we'll get some at the end. We probably will. But there's a lot to talk about today. Oh, before we dive too deep into this, I wanted to give a big thanks to everybody, all the listeners. God, I can't remember I should know what the company is, or the people who emailed me what they're called. I should have written that down. But I did get an email, I think last week or the week before, letting us know that we were ranked the number 9 podcast in the Des Moines area. So, we could not have done that without you guys. I think if I had been putting out more content, it probably would have been higher. I remember when was it Podfeed or something like that? But like, I remember the first time they ever emailed me, I was number 2, or this podcast is number 2. And so, I mean, I'll take the hit. No big deal. You're still killing it. So, and this would not be possible without you, the listener, tuning in every time I decide to do a podcast. Every time I'm in the mood for it. So I appreciate everybody for doing that. Okay. So I thought I would talk about today with this episode is I kind of wanted to give a recap on the situation with Ian Roberts. A lot of different pieces have been moving around this last month, and I don't know. I think mostly just due to personal things, but and also just like the information has kind of been layered. Like we get one piece of information one week and one piece of information the next week, and I kind of felt like none of it was substantive to make a whole episode about. So I thought, maybe at the beginning of November, election day is tomorrow, the local elections. For those who are participating in that. So I thought it might be a good time to kind of talk about what's going on with this. So an update. So I guess just like a general, before we get into some of the specifics, my specific thoughts on some of this stuff. I think the two of the major updates that have come about on this is this was actually, I think these are actually both from a couple weeks ago. The first one, and this was shocked. I mean, I found out about this today, and I was honestly shocked that he's even doing this. Former Des Moines Public School Superintendent Ian Roberts pleads not guilty to federal charges. And it kind of gives some information on the background. And talking about how they're suing. Who is it? JG Consulting, which we'll get into that in a little bit. Ross Roberts was indicted with false statement for employment for allegedly falsely claiming to be a U.S. citizen on his application for the DMPS superintendent. This is shocking. This was shocking to me. Look, I'm not a lawyer. Okay? I'm not a lawyer. But I feel like the odds are stacked against this individual, to say the least. It really has. I guess there has been a lot of surprising amount of support rallying behind him. I think there's various reasons for that, but despite that, though, on paper, this guy broke the law. I mean, not only one time, but several times. And look, some of them I care about, some of them I don't. Whatever. I feel like at this point, I'm just more disappointed with the Des Moines Public School system and the board, which we'll kind of get into that later. But I mean, again, this is an individual who made almost $300,000 a year. I think like $280 or something like that. Twice as much as any superintendent in the area. So that, number one. Number two, he never had a doctorate. From what I understand, his doctorate never happened. A lot of these certifications that he supposedly had wasn't there. And he got a deportation notice, which he most likely ignored, and he ran from the police. So, look, I mean, and that's probably just, I'm probably forgetting things, right? But on the surface, it's like, whoa, dude. Come on, this motherfucker's OJing it, dude. Fuck. he's really just like, well, not guilty. I ain't guilty. Nah, shit. I ain't guilty. Nah. This man's definitely guilty. Look, well, and these are federal charges. So, I mean, if this is not something that, unless they did some kind of Trump thing, with this federal charges, this isn't going to happen in the city of Des Moines. This is going to happen in a federal court. And look, the guy made bread. So I'm sure he has more than enough financial backing, finances to be able to hire that kind of legal team. But dude, if I was in this position, I would take the L. Take the L. Be like, fuck, dude. They caught me. I'll take the L. I'll plead guilty. So that's just insane. That was just shocking to me. I can't believe that this man is saying not guilty. I still think he's being detained too. I don't think he is. Let me look at this article, but I think he's still in custody. So he's not even out on bail or anything. So the fact that he's pleading not guilty is crazy. But I don't know. Crazier things have happened. Also, this is another piece of information that I found. I shared this at the time, and I was like, this is really what is so good about the day and age we live in with social media, the internet. Maybe what I do with this podcast and the clips I've made out of that have helped fuel this, but let's just read the article. Jackie Norris ends Senate run in wake of former Des Moines superintendent's ICE arrest. This is a woman who appears to be beyond corrupt at this point. Her, and we'll get into this later, but her inability to have any kind of accountability for what happened with this situation, along with just her attitude and her lack of critical thinking skills. Like in that interview we watched where it's like, would you do anything differently? It's just like, no, I wouldn't. It's like, what? You wouldn't? Who wouldn't? I would. That's kind of the crazy. And this just shows like, why the public education system is such a mess. Because like if you were any business that got into a situation like this, I think they would really like be like, okay, you know what? I think we should rethink. Like, you have to say it publicly, but like, come on, like you're not willing to just admit like, okay, maybe we fucked up a little bit. But it is only the public sector. It is only government officials who have the ability to stand firm and say, yeah, wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. We followed the rules. We didn't use any critical thinking skills. What else? And, kind of the point that I was, made when I posted about this back, 3 weeks ago, is this shows that people's voices, current events happening, people being able to share that, talk about that, discuss that, has way more of an impact than casting your vote tomorrow or a year from tomorrow or 2 or 4 years from tomorrow, or whatever. Every year going forever tomorrow, right? This kind of stuff, what I'm doing with the podcast, you as an individual, as a listener right now, going on social media, making a post talking about, oh, I'm so glad this corrupt bitch finally stepped down. Like, that does way more than your vote ever will. And I think that's great. I think that's a really great thing that this has happened. Because, yeah, this lady, like, can you imagine? Can you imagine if she was running for Senate? This damn dog, dude. The bane of my existence. Fucking dog threw me off, man. I was on a spiel. We got too many animals in the house. Too many. I need a studio. If you want animal-free podcast, subscribe to the Patreon. No, I love my dogs. But I think those are two very, very interesting and very revealing things that have happened with this whole thing over the course of the months that we've been doing it. So I'm really glad that's the case. I'm really glad that from what I understand, she's probably still going to be on the board. I actually don't know if the election, if that's an electable position. No, I don't think it is. I don't think it's an electable position. But I'm pretty sure it is. Maybe it's not. I should really know. I should really know these things before just putting them on a podcast. Come on, Colin. Anyways, before we kind of get into the meat of this, one thing I did want to, that I thought was really great about this individual's response to this, something that I had been critical about on social media initially, but I think he did a really good job turning it around, actually, was Rob Sand. Someone who, on this podcast, I've been extremely critical about. People know that. People who see me on social media know that I've been very critical of this individual. I think he has horrendous takes on education. I think I think him being in office would be an extension of all of the democratic policies and government initiatives that devalue the dollar and just make everything more expensive, turning Iowa's cities into shitholes. I do think that there's possibility of that happening probably when he is governor. But that all being said, he did something a couple weeks ago that I was genuinely impressed by. And it was something that so I guess let's just read the article. Iowa Auditor Rob Sand confirms request to audit state education department licensing procedures. And this was something that initially, he rejected the first request due to it being, I don't know. I think, from what I understand, it was just not done correctly according to his standards and whatever. At the time, I kind of thought it was like a little, it kind of seemed like a little bit of a smokescreen, right? Like, oh, this guy just doesn't want to, he just doesn't want to prosecute his, constituents, the people in the Democratic Party, right? The Des Moines postal system, which is, overwhelmingly Democrat. It doesn't take two brain cells to figure that out. But something that I was very happy about was his decision to move forward auditing the Des Moines public school system in the wake of all this Ian Roberts stuff. And I guess, time will tell. Maybe this is just something that is a good press stunt, and, in a matter of months, we'll not have heard anything else about it, and that's whatever. But I think the fact that he is willing, at least publicly, to take down this corruption in the government, despite whatever political leanings there are. I think this is the essence of why part of me still wants to not fuck. I don't want to fuck him. No, that I still want to be hopeful about his campaign, right? And because I don't endorse Rob Sand by any means. I don't want him to be governor by any means, but I think it's I think I saw something yesterday where it was like he was at this point 2 points ahead of the Republican candidate, which might not sound like a lot, but if you consider the history and the background of how Iowa has voted and how overwhelmingly red Iowa is, that's impressive. That is impressive. And I think this is what people want in a government official. Someone who can objectively look at a situation and be like, okay, regardless of what party is contributing to this is a problem and we need to fix it. And look, I gotta give him credit on this. I got for all the shit that I've talked about Rob Sand, this is a win. This is 100% win from him. I think he's on the right track. I think he's on the right track with this. The Des Moines public school system is clearly horribly corrupt. To the point where they're they're hiring people without proper identification, not supposedly using the proper procedures, whatever. Another thing that's just so wild about this whole situation is how they're suing the firm. This is how little the government is actually able to take any kind of accountability whatsoever, is because they don't have to take accountability because they will always be there. If a business fucks up, they need to take accountability because their jobs are at risk. These people's jobs aren't at risk. They could be doing the worst job possible and they will still have their jobs. The best case, they step down, but nobody's going to force them out of their jobs because they don't have to. They literally don't have to. And even if it did, they would be fine. They would be fucking set because these people are rolling in dough. And even if they're not rolling in dough, they have that certification. Like, you kidding me? Like, you telling me that they can't get any other kind of government job if they lost their jobs? Like, no. They are going to milk the system forever. They are going to live off the system forever. Unless something gets done, like hopefully what Rob Sand will do. Like I said, time will tell. This was announced 2 weeks ago, and from what I understand, there haven't really been any huge developments. And I think it's also questionable, Rob Sand is on the campaign trail. He is really pushing hard for this governor race. Who knows how much time he'll be able to delegate to this issue and that. Maybe he will. I don't know. I truly don't know. But that's all gonna be interesting for sure. But I it's fucking crazy. It's crazy that they're suing that firm, because all the firm did was give them a list, right? Like, they didn't have to, like, I don't know. Like, it's almost like what they teach you in school. It's like, or like the scientific, being of a scientific mind, right? Like, you kind of want to cross every possible option, right? Like, just because one person says, hey, this guy's legit, that might not be like 100%. Hey, you might want to do your own research, right? It's like how in school they're like, hey, don't just read it off Wikipedia. Read a book. Go to the library. These motherfuckers just took it off Wikipedia. I don't know. Maybe they don't say that anymore. When I was in school, Wikipedia was the thing, and everybody hated Wikipedia. And they always told us, don't believe what you read on the internet. I mean, that's essentially what they did. They got a list, and they're like, okay, that list is legit. But any other conversation, any other anything else that would be remotely like this, they would have taken some kind of accountability, like any business, whatever. But the fact that they're able to just push it off onto this firm, and like not even with pushback, like we're gonna read this article in a little bit, claiming that the Des Moines public school system is the victims. Oh my God, don't even get me started on that bullshit. But I mean, these people have no accountability, and I really hope Rob's able to give them some accountability with that. Okay, let's. I just talked about it, so let's just dive into this article. The main reason why I wanted to do this episode, because holy fucking shit, I read this. I didn't read the full article, but I saw the headline, and it was shocking to me. And now this is, I think, from what I understand, this is someone writing into the paper, so it's not necessarily like an article. So I mean, I guess that's good at least. But a big part why we do this, why I do this podcast, is the Iowa corporate media is so ingrained. It's so like, you think like on the federal level, like the fucking, the government and the corporate press, and you think they're all intertwined. Holy shit, Iowa, it's like 10 times worse. And unlike in the federal level, like nobody calls it out. Everybody kind of just goes along with it. Like, look, like even like the, no offense to any other podcasters, but like you look at even like the top 40 Des Moines podcasts, and it's all corporate. It's all corporate backed, all state backed, like Iowa Nature, Iowa this. And fine, like I'm not shitting on those podcasts, but like it's corporate messaging. It's the corporate press. It's government messaging, more importantly. And it's not like nobody in those circles are actually going to question these things. And this is like, I see this and I'm like, holy fucking shit. Like this, it's asinine to me that somebody could come away from this situation, that everything that's going on with Ian Roberts, the Des Moines public school system and have nothing but contempt for the people who run this. But not only do they not have that, they have sympathy for them. That is asinine to me. Oh my God. But we're going to get into it, motherfuckers. Des Moines School Board is the victim, not the culprits. What? The people, these poor school board members who make 6 figures a year. Oh my God, they work so hard. They do so much. Oh my, it's such a sob story. They can't lose their job. Oh, and what they're doing is meaningless. Oh, but all these poor teachers. So this is a letter that was written by Gloria Hoffman from Des Moines. And as she reveals in the letter, this is someone who was a 4-term Des Moines school board member. So, obviously, you would be shocked if they had anything negative to say, right? But so obviously they're gonna support their fellow cronies. So here's the article. It's short, so we'll just read the whole thing. As a letter, I should say. As a 4-term Des Moines school board member from 1983 to 1995. Oh, 4-term, not 4-year. Oh, wow. So they were in there a minute. Having served as board president twice and having experienced the hiring of Superintendent Gary Wigenink, I can't pronounce that, and the passage of school bond referendum, I have some perspectives to share regarding this current school board issues. First, the Des Moines School Board is the victim, not the culprit, of an ineffective superintendent search process. Most mid to large size schools employ a search firm to verify educational background, employment history, and public records of prospective candidates. Usually, 2 or 3 candidates are then recommended to the board. It is not the role of the board to duplicate the efforts of the search firm, but only to interview the candidates. Okay, let's just pause because there are already so many things, so many fallacies. Okay, first of all, none of these people who work in the school system, I don't care if you're a teacher, I don't care if you're a superintendent, I don't care if you're a janitor, I don't care if you're the goddamn president of the fucking thing. None of these people are victims. Not a single fucking one. I'm going to say that again. Not a single fucking one of these people is a victim. Okay? These people work for an organization, the public education system, that is not chosen. These people aren't voted in, from what I understand, at least but not from the public. They're not actually chosen. Their jobs aren't actually at risk. I don't care what they get paid. Yes, there's pay disparages, but nobody held a gun to their head and forced them to teach. The children, however, the parents of the children, however, essentially are. They are put into this position where they are forced to put their kids in this public school system, unless they are very wealthy, which is by design, which the only reason that is because of the same public system. And you're really going to sit here and tell me that these people who are making 6 figures each, oh my God, I saw this article headline and I about lost my shit reading it. I'm like, they're the victims? Are you fucking kidding me? These are the people who see something going on in a classroom and, you know, if they even do anything about it, they will, They won't actually hear any sides. They won't actually, make any critical thinking. Because, education is anti-critical thinking. Everything government is anti-critical thinking. They don't want you to critically think. They have an answer. They have a preordained answer. And they want you to memorize that answer. Don't think about it. Don't ask questions. And these people who are supposedly victims are these same people who perpetuate this system. Look, if you wanted to say that about teachers, you maybe have a case. Still not really. Nobody forced them to do that job, but fine. Teachers aren't paid well, whatever. I can kind of, if I were to take the sympathetic part of my brain and put it to the front, I could kind of understand that. To say this about people who run a school board that make six figures and these are the victims, are you fucking kidding me? And even this person, right? Let's reread this. Usually 2 or 3 candidates are then recommended to the board. It is not the role of the board to duplicate the efforts of the search firm. Because what? You only need to do something once. Why do something twice? I don't know. Maybe because you're forcing fucking kids to sit in a classroom with these people. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you should do it 5 times, 10 times. Maybe 100 times. Because you know what? These people who you're stealing money from through fucking taxation don't have a choice. They would love to be able to do this. If you were, take any parent of these kids, and if you were to tell them hey, pick the people who are going to make the decisions that are going to affect your and your kids' livelihoods, I guarantee you they're going to check at least twice. Unless you're some piece of shit. Any caring parent is going to check at least twice. They're going to find some people and be like, okay, you know what? Let's look at this again. And this is just what's infuriates me. It's all these people are all part of the same system. And they're providing cover for each other. Gloria Hoffman, I don't know anything about this person. The fact that she was in the same role that Ian Roberts was in, it's not surprising that she would use this logic. But Jesus Christ, these people are not victims even in the slightest. Okay, not even remotely. Okay, these are bureaucrats. They're stealing all of your taxpayer dollars and putting forth measly, low-level, terrible education. Which, look, I will say, I've said this a million times, I will say it again. The Department of Education is the most meaningless use of taxpayer dollars. The most. I can wrap my head around the warfare state. I can wrap my head around the police state. I can wrap my head around the goddamn library. Dude, the education system is worthless. You take one of these kids' phones and compare it to the entire Des Moines School Board District, whatever. You compare it to that entire thing, it doesn't even come close. Okay? These people are using their personal experience, which, in their mind is superior because, we have important jobs. We're teachers. We have really important jobs. We gotta teach the students. You're not on these kids aren't on a fucking ranch, okay? It's not like they have no knowledge of the world. Okay? They have the skills. They have the skills to figure their own shit out, okay? We have the technology. They have the technology to figure this shit out, right? But no, the education system, they love to paint it as this thing where they're like, oh, these poor kids have nothing and we need to give them something. They all have Grok. They all have ChatGPT. They don't need your stupid ass. Not only do they not need your ass, they don't need their money stolen to give you a fucking job. Okay? Victim my ass. Not a single goddamn fucking person who works in the Des Moines public school system is a victim. The students, the parents who are forced into this bullshit, who are forced to pay for this crap where you have a superintendent who wasn't even legal, who didn't even have the correct statuses, who's making $300,000 a fucking year. Those are the culprits. Those are not the victims. Those people, the Ian Roberts people. I'm so mad I can't even keep track of my shit. But look, I mean, these parents are along for the ride. These students are along for the ride. They have no say in their education. They have no say in what happens. Zero. None. Zip. They don't get to vote on who their teacher is. They don't get to, put market pressure on these teachers and say, hey, if you do a dog shit job, you're going to lose your job. None of these people lose their jobs. They all have tenure. All these teachers, if they do a shit job at one school, they just move to another school. It's like teachers are like the most protected fucking class, job class like in the world, like one of the top. It's so stupid hard to. Is stupidly hard. However, I said that wrong. I know that's not good. That's not a good time to be making grammatical errors. But look, these people are not. These people that you are forced to have your teacher learn from, or teach your student. These aren't fucking Einsteins. These aren't geniuses. Okay. This is like some lady who got drunk her entire college fucking experience, barely passed, and now they have the ego and the attitude because they're like, oh, I have all this responsibility. I have all this responsibility as an educator. I these kids and the Grok and the ChatGPT, oh no, they're nothing compared to me. Nothing. I am the way. I am the light. Okay, let's Jesus. I got so mad that I shoved the thing in. Let's keep reading this article. After Ian Roberts was selected, I had two opportunities to hear him speak, and I was impressed with his intelligence, his vitality, and his concern for student education. Had I been a board member, I would have had no reason to question the recommendation. I think that just highlights the problem right there. You had a impression. Have you ever heard of a sociopath? Like, I know that's a big word. I know it's a big word. So let me dumb it down a little bit. Have you heard of crazy people who, are so good at acting like they're normal and that they're sane that it's hard for people to be able to tell that they have bad intentions? That's what a sociopath is. And the fact that you are so dumb that you can't even comprehend, like, oh, hey, maybe the first impression isn't everything. A first impression and a recommendation from a third party, and that's it? That's all? I can't think of a single fucking job. Dude, I clean for a living. I've gone through more scrutiny than that to get a fucking job. Are you kidding me? But guys, these people, they want to teach your kids, so they're good people. Second, it is vital for the future of the Des Moines public schools that we vote yes for the school bond referendum. I actually don't know what that is. Maybe they're about to lay out. The resulting plan was not developed by the superintendent nor the school board, but rather by a committee of 80 teachers, administrators, parents, students, and business leaders. Yeah, who do you think outranked among that list? Teachers, administrators, parents, students, and business leaders. Who do you think that was just all equal? Like, really? You're going to tell me that they all equally have voice? The students, minors, Their voice was taken into account the same as administrators and business leaders. Are you kidding me? You're really going to try to tell me that? You're really going to, with a straight face, write this and be like, yeah. At the time, computers were just being introduced into the schools. Okay, so maybe this was like... Oh, wait, okay. It has almost been 40 years since voters approved such a measure. At the time, computers were just being introduced into the school system. I wish they had been introduced sooner, just saying, because maybe these people would exist. The past 4 decades have brought expansive changes in technology and in the skill sets needed in the work world today. The current bond issue will provide the infrastructure technology. I don't even know what this has to do. Oh, is this the vote that's coming up? Okay, so this whole article this is why I should do a better job reading and researching. Beforehand. Because now it just goes into kind of like a... But, it's almost kind of, with that rant that I was just giving, like, it's almost kind of interesting that they would kind of interject the technology thing. Like, oh, this technology that's 100% superior, like 100 million times superior to my job. But we need to help the children navigate. They can't figure it out on their own. They don't have fucking YouTube and Grok and ChatGPT. No, the teachers need help. We need to still have a job. When you read in between the lines of something like that, that's what they're telling you. I still need my job. I'm not even gonna fathom the idea that the market could dictate that, whether I need a job or not. No, I just need it. We're gonna use this force of education backed by the state, that is the state. We're gonna force this because I need a job. I need my jobby. This is just I've already said enough on it, but I can't even wrap my head around the idea of somebody actually reading an article like that or letter like this, thinking that the Des Moines School Board is the victim and taking it seriously. No, you don't get to blame the people who gave you a list and say they gave us a bad list. It's their fault. It's not my fault. What? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to make my own list? Oh my God, that's so much work. Like any other business ever, any other individual ever having to double check something. Holy fucking shit. That's crazy. Okay, enough on that. One last thing I wanted to discuss before we wrap up. We're getting close to the hour here. Can I even read this article? I just realized it's from the Des Moines Register. Okay, I can. Because the Des Moines Register has been fucking me, man. Like, I want to read an article. Like, that last article, I couldn't even read off the website. I had to fucking steal it. I don't give a fuck. Fuck the corporate press. Iowa corporate press. Government Kim Reynolds says Iowa will match $1 million in food bank donations as SNAP benefits lapse. Kim Reynolds has ordered the Iowa National Guard to prepare to distribute food to hungry Iowans around the state, and that Iowa will match $1 million in donations to local food banks as federal food assistance benefits are expected to lapse November 1st. And I think since this article has come out, I don't actually know that I'm not super up to date on what's happening with SNAP and the benefits, but I do think some of that got reversed. So maybe this isn't the case. But look, I mean, I think I've spoken about it on this podcast before. I think people can probably guess my views on SNAP benefits is that they're not good. I don't think the government subsidizing anything, but especially something like food, is a good idea. Look, when Kim Reynolds says that they're going to use the National Guard to give food to families or individuals or whatever, this is Breadlines 2.0, is essentially what this is. And this is the game that the government always plays, is they appeal to emotion, they appeal to the poor, and they say, you don't have this, so we're going to give it to you. And they make it really simple. Like, oh, it's just a thing in there. They're just giving it to me. They don't think about the ramifications of, oh, these SNAP benefits devalue the dollar. These SNAP benefits become something that people and businesses rely on, which is a problem. Because relying on anything without any kind of restrictions, not even the government, like a business or an individual, like, is problematic because you don't always know if it's going to be there. And all this is doing, all the SNAP benefits and everything, it's just contributing to inflation. It's just contributing to the devaluing of the dollar. That's all this is doing. And look, I think it's very typical that like they would, the Iowa government, Kim Reynolds and the Iowa government, like, they're not willing to just say, like, they're not willing to just call it how it is and be like, hey, we understand that people need food, but the reality is that the whole, you relying on us for food in the first place is actually what's causing the problem. And we need to not do that. But no, they can't do that, because then that would bring them, just like we were talking about with the last thing, like that will bring their integrity, their intentions, their abilities into question. And that's a problem for them. Just because just with like a business, if a business was getting bad press and people weren't going to their shit, like that would be a problem for them, right? And it's the same with the government. The difference with the government is it's enforced. It's forced. It's an enforced market, not enforced, like a forced upon market. I guess it's actually starting today. So I don't know. So like I said, I'm not actually sure what's going on with the SNAP benefits. So, maybe it's something that will be different. But look, I saw a stat the other day that was like shocking. It was, I think 40% of SNAP benefits are used for soda. And we already talked about this. Look, I'm 30, right? I have bladder issues. I have I get inflamed bladder when I drink too much of soda or not water, basically, or if I'm smoking too much, all these things affect my bladder. So let's just say that soda is the best option. It's at the very least not the best thing. Water would be better, right? But when we live in a world where you're kind of just giving people quote unquote free money, I've already done my spiel on this, so I won't go into this too much, but it's not surprising that they're just gonna do stuff like this. Look, if SNAP benefits, if it was the top items, food, or food, water, bread, canned items, I'd be like, okay, all right. I can wrap my head around that. When it's something like soda, I truly just question the necessity of it. It's sad because, I talk to people, I run into people who are on these benefits, and they really tell themselves that I need this. I need these benefits. I have a 50-inch screen television with every single amount of content possible. That would take me 100,000 lifetimes to be able to watch all of. I have a car with transport. I have 2 cars. But no, I really need my food stamps. And this is why government continues to function, is it is an emotional thing. Because if you were to actually get into the nitty gritty of it with all these people, it's okay, you supposedly need food. Do you need this item? 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 No. So all the money that, should be going to feeding your fucking kids is going to these things. And you're just kind of relying on the system, this government system that operates off taxation, operates off theft. And people are just comfortable with this. I won't even get into that whole thing. I mean, the internet has been, I saw like Dave Smith go on the Tim Cass the other day and talk about that. Everybody has their takes on Snap, so I won't go into it too much, but it's just like, I don't buy all this. I don't buy this whole thing where it's like all these people really, 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 really need this so bad that we need to just like things are so bad, not because of the government. No, it just is. Fucking rich people. No, fucking rich. It's all their fault. It's not the government. I mean, and partially is their fault. I mean, rich people do use the government to their advantage for sure, and I think this is definitely part of it. But what's the mechanism? The mechanism is the government that's enforcing this thing. That creates a system, that creates a disparity, that creates the inflation of the dollar and the devaluing of the dollar, creates all these circumstances that force people to rely on them. And then when you have forced people to rely on you, that's when you have the power. Okay, guys. I think that's it for today's episode. That's all I really wanted to cover. Kind of I don't know. I haven't done this in a while. Every time I feel like every time I don't do an episode for a while, and then I'm like, I did a shit job, and then and then I'm like, okay, I actually didn't do. I guess if you're still here, maybe I didn't do too bad of a job. Okay, that's it for today. I might come on later this week to do kind of, because I know it's No Nut November, and as a porn addict, recovering porn addict, I think it's an important topic to talk about. It's something that really is, hurting a lot of people. So I think maybe sometime this week or maybe next week I'll give some of my thoughts on that. Otherwise, we're going to be doing some Fallout 4 streams. This is a game that I've played maybe an hour of. I like to call it Call of Duty Fallout because it's essentially the point where Fallout became Call of Duty. And I've always been kind of turned off to it, but they're doing a 10-year anniversary of it, so I was like, fuck it, why not? I'll appeal to the masses and stream that probably either this week, for sure next week. So